One is like the title search and the off title searching and the title insurance coverage. You need to do these off title searches. If we don't do them and there are issues, then you don't get that same title insurance coverage that you get with single family residence, right? I better make sure my records are all up to date because they're going to want to see all up to date corporate records, minute books, ledgers, director, registry, shareholders, signing authorities. All that stuff you want that right up to snuff.
Should I incorporate when buying real estate for investments?
I think it's still a good idea to incorporate.
Is that something I can come to Carson Law to get guidance on in regards to actually setting up the corporate structure?
Yeah, we work with a lot of real estate investors, and we can do that service as well.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my favorite question when it comes to real estate investing. Should you buy in a corporation? I'm actually joking about that. As a CPA, I get hit up every single gosh darn day with people asking me whether they should set up a corporation to start investing in real estate. So I'm really excited to bring Ryan from Carson Law on today's show just to discuss from a legal perspective what he thinks and what he recommends to his clients when it comes to buying investment properties and how should you structure the purchase of that property. I know this is a question people have lots of questions around. So if you've got more questions about this topic, you need to jump in the comment section, hit us up, and we'll do a part 2. But let's dive into part 1 right now with Ryan from Carson Law.
So a lot of my audience may have bought their single family home. They may have bought their personal residence, and now they're starting to look at buying an income property. What should they know about, at least in regards to kind of the legal process? Is there any difference between buying that single family house and a fourplex or a multifamily property from your perspective on doing the legal process?
Yeah, there is a couple specific differences. One is like the title search and the off title searching and the title insurance coverage. So, I mean, we're going to do a title search no matter what. But as we talked about earlier, title search just gives you what's on title with the land registry record. That excludes a lot of off-title things, zoning, work orders, building permits, current and future use approvals. Those are all coming from local municipalities. There could be conservation authority that you have to deal with depending on, where it's located and what's, abutting it. So these different searches in a multi-residential, which is 2 to 6 units, or if you have 7+ residential units, or it is actually zoned commercial or industrial, the single family residential title insurance policy doesn't apply anymore. And with the multi-res or commercial policy for title insurance, you need to do these off-title searches. If we don't do them and there are issues, then you don't get that same title insurance coverage that you get with single family residence, right? Mm-hmm. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind that we strongly recommend. Make sure you either have brought it to the table already with, like, you have the zoning, you have the future use approval. If you're trying to deviate from what it's currently used as, if somebody's buying a property and it's a single family and they want to convert it to a duplex or a triplex, well, have you got that approved ahead of time? Do you have the deal conditional still while you can get the approval if you don't have the approval prior to? What about work orders? Have those been searched? Are there any things outstanding? Was there substantial work done on the property, right? Like, if you have a good idea that this property's been worked on and you're not sure if all these things got properly permitted, then again, same thing. Can we see the permits all being issued and completed? Can we check that with the municipality? So those are all things that definitely you want to do with multi and commercial that you don't necessarily have to do with the single family. I mean, conservatively, you do it all across the board all the time, but because of title insurance and because of the single family coverage on a residential title insurance policy, the mainstream is that you don't worry about that on the single families anymore. You just worry about all this extra due diligence on the multi-residential and commercial properties. I mean, other things to consider too, if you're venturing into multiplex and commercial, be aware that the financial approval process is going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
a bit more complex. If you're using corporate structure for your entity to buy, if you're using a corporation as your buying vehicle, then you probably need to keep in mind, okay, I better make sure my records are all up to date, because they're going to want to see all up to date corporate records, minute books, ledgers, director registry, shareholders, signing authorities, all that stuff is you want that right up to snuff, so it doesn't slow you up at the finish line. You'll probably need to do like personal guarantees, because no one's just going to say, here, we'll give you this mortgage money for $500,000 on a numbered company that could fold at any point, and not have anybody personally guaranteeing it, right? So there's a couple additional layers of extra steps or considerations in due diligence when you go from single family to multi and commercial.
So you kind of mentioned corporations there. So I know immediately a bunch of my audience just raised their hands with a bunch of different questions. So let's talk about some of the other services that maybe you provide, or that people can turn to a real estate lawyer to provide. So when we're looking at buying a property, I'm a CPA by trade, so I've got my accounting license. And so I always get hit with, should I incorporate when buying real estate for investments? Now, this is a very broad question, but do you mind just walking through, what does that look like for an investor if they decide if they should be buying an incorporation? And do you have any rules of thumb that you often mention to investors when they're trying to make this decision?
Well, typically I would always recommend if they're asking that question, I would say, have you had a conversation with your tax advisor, your tax accountant, your tax planner? Because normally, if they've been working with somebody for some time, that person has a much bigger and broader understanding of the client's financial and tax picture. And so they give a much better answer of, it makes total sense, because from a tax perspective, there's a lot of things we can creatively do to save you more money or reduce the burden of paying as much tax. I mean, anytime the answer to those questions is yes, we can save you more money and or reduce your tax burden to the government, makes sense to incorporate in my opinion. Even if the answer was no to those, and the other question I'll typically ask is, are you going to take all the money out of the corporation every year, or are you going to retain money in it? If you're going to retain money in it, and because you can, and you don't need to suck all the money out to live off it, then I think, again, that's another reason to consider incorporating if you're retaining earnings. But even if you're not doing any of those three, the other reason would just be, even if you want to just separate your personal assets and liability from your business assets and liability, creating this corporate structure does give you they call it, creditor protection / asset and debt isolation, right? So at the end of the day, even if you want just that and none of those other things are applying, I think it's still a good idea to incorporate.
Got you. So if I reach out or sit down with my tax advisor and they tell me, yes, I think it is a good idea for you to incorporate to buy real estate, is that something I can come to Carson Law to get guidance on in regards to actually setting up the corporate structure?
Yeah, we work with a lot of real estate investors, and we can do that service as well.
Do you want to get control of your financial life? Do you want to crush it in real estate with wholesaling? Do you want to join my full-time team of wholesalers like Mike or Shahir? Or what about Tyler or Diego? Or what about Amar? All right, and what do we do, boys?
We make offers, we buy fast, never gonna miss a deal cause we pay cash. Offers, 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 deals, deals, deals. Tell us, Mr. Seller, what price do you feel? Cause we're Southwestern's biggest source of deals. Boom!
So if you guys want to crush it with wholesaling, you need to join my team. And down below, video description, there's all the links you need.
Is that something I can come to Carson Law to get guidance on in regards to actually setting up the corporate structure?
Yeah, we work with a lot of real estate investors, and we can do that service as well. We do corporate services, one of which is incorporations. Depending if they have like multiple parties owning the corporation, we can also, set up a shareholders agreement if they need that for the business partners. With real estate investors, we can also do a service of joint venture agreements, right?
That was going to be another question.
Yeah. So we can do that as well for the real estate investors.
Okay. And so when we're talking about setting up a corporation or putting together a joint venture agreement, is there anything that, you would recommend a client take into consideration before coming to you, or what do they normally need to bring in order to be effective both with their time and your time? Let's say I've decided that I'm going to be buying a property with someone and we're going to put together that JV agreement. What should we be coming to you with?
Well, actually, if they just get in touch with us, we actually have worksheets that the clients can use for the incorporation and the JVs, which basically ask you in a pretty plain way for the information that we would need to then start putting it all together into the incorporation or the JV. So we kind of have a simplified 1 or 2 page worksheet that we give to the clients. And if they basically fill that out and complete it and give us that information, that will get us the lion's share of what we need for the various incorporation or the JVA agreement. I mean, there'll be one-offs that we might have to, plug and play and discuss at further length with the clients, depending on each of their situations. But that's the easiest thing. Otherwise, listing it all off here would just eat up time, right?
Yeah. No, that's great to know. Because again, I think oftentimes people are really intimidated by all these things they don't know. So probably one of the best ways then is literally just reach out. Hey, I'm thinking about doing a JV agreement. I heard you guys have a really cool worksheet. Can I get my hands on that?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we can just email it to them nice and easy. They can take some time to look at it. Some people are very comfortable and they feel like they've got a handle on it and they just they fill it in and give us all the answers and send it back. And then we look at it and, process and discuss with them. Some people look at it and they're like, oh, I don't really understand any of this still. In which case we're happy to actually set up a time, and either in person or right now, everything's kind of over the phone or video conference. We're happy to fill it in with them, basically, walk them through and say, okay, this is what this is. This is what this is. This is what this is. And if they know all the answers, then we fill it all in together and then they're done. So one way or the other, we can help them along and, get them to a point of feeling like they've accomplished what they want. Hey, everybody, Ryan Carson here from Carson Law Office. Pleasure to be on Matt McKeever's YouTube session. And a little bit about me and about the firm. I've been practicing since 2008 and have a couple degrees and really started my career with mostly real estate law, corporate law, wills and estates. And that's where my practice has kind of stayed to date. We also offer landlord-tenant, small claims, and intellectual property law like patents, trademarks, and copyright at the office. But before I opened up Carson Law, which has been in existence for about 8 years, I spent the first 6 years practicing as an associate and running their real estate and corporate divisions. And took that basically from about a billings of about just under 200,000 a year to about 750 to 850,000 when I left. And then now basically at Carson Law, we do about, we're getting close to the 2 million mark in billings in a year, which is predominantly myself as the main lawyer. And then we do have one other main lawyer and then a couple associates. Carson Law, as I said, works in the areas of real estate, corporate, wills, estates, intellectual property, and now we're proud to say landlord, tenant, and small claims and provincial offenses. And we're just launching that service in the coming days. I mean, my approach to practice is, it's about balance. We want to have strong relationships with not only our clients, but with each other in the office. So we're a very approachable and friendly firm. I've mentioned in some of my videos with Matt that we offer, 30-second consultations, typically at no cost. We're happy to answer your phone calls and to get your emails. We're not, going to dock it every minute and send you a bill for every minute of discussion. It's all part of building a relationship that we want to have long term with you, and we want you to feel comfortable to always think of Carson Law as the firm to go to when you have a question. We might not always be the ones that can help you, and if we can't, we'll make sure that we get you sourced out to a very competent specialist in that area. But we want you to feel as though you can come see us, you can approach us. As you can see, I'm wearing the t-shirt and the baseball cap today, practicing my social distancing and my COVID quarantine. But we're people. We're not just a suit, and we've got family, and we've got lives outside of practicing law, and we try to keep that balance. We try to work hard for our clients. We try to make sure that the client's needs are put first, and we use a team approach. And that's a little bit different than maybe some of the traditional models that a lot of law firms use. It's typically lawyer kind of being fairly dictator to their support staff, and they just pump out material. We try to be a team-based approach where we would through a process that we've developed over, like I said, almost 15 years of practice. We try to make sure there's team members helping you along the way, from start to finish, from a file opening. Using the team approach, it allows us to make sure you have constant access to somebody at the office, whether it's email or phone call. So you don't have a lot of time where you can't get access or answers to your questions, because we know in this day and age, especially, people want to have answers at their fingertips. And so our team-based approach helps, in our opinion, foster a really nice family feel, approachable feel, and it allows us to work well with our clients who are largely individual people, family members, small to medium-sized businesses. That's kind of our bread and butter. That's who we like to work with. And we work a lot with real estate investors. And so it's been great to share specific content with Matt so far. And it's been a real delight to just speak to you generally about who we are, who I am, and what we're all about, which is taking care of you guys and helping you guys with your home, with your work, with your life needs. And we're here for you. And whenever you need to think of a lawyer, or you have a question that you think is legal, think of Carson Law, and hopefully we'll be the ones that give you the answer. Otherwise, we'll certainly do our best to get you placed with somebody who can get you that answer. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks again to Ryan for taking this time to break down this subject matter, because I'm hoping this results in me getting asked this question less. If you guys still want to ask me questions about buying in a corporation, or if you should set up a corporation, what I'd love for you to do is jump in the comment section, hit us up there, and like I said, Ryan and myself will jump on a video for part 2 of this series, because I just know there's going to be a lot more questions. There's no way I could ever slay this dragon and just get you guys to focus on making more offers to do more deals. You're always going to worry about the corporation and tax consequences. It's just a reality I'm going to have to get accustomed to. But again, thank you to Ryan for taking the time to break down his perspective from the legal side of things, because there's a lot of different factors to take into consideration when we are talking about buying in a corporation or buying personally when it comes to investment properties. If you guys would like to see Ryan on future videos, what I need you to do is smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. If you have more questions for Ryan and you'd like a one-on-one with him, he's been gracious enough to throw his contact information out to the entire world for us. So I'm going to throw it in video description down below, so go grab it. Hit up Ryan from Carson Law, or anyone at Carson Law, if you've got additional questions when it comes to real estate investing, whether it be about corporations or maybe just other transactions in general. If you guys would like more content about real estate investing, I really encourage you, watch this playlist with Kellen right here. Or if you just want to get back to the basics, I'm going to bring up the original playlist I ever made, and that's Burying Elias Street. So if you guys haven't been back back in the time warp that is, go see pre-beard Matt. I don't even think I could grow a beard back then. We'll throw that playlist up right there. Otherwise, until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys.